Well, welcome back. If you're just joining us, we have Marie Walker-Riddle on. We have Marie Walker-Riddle on today's show. I think is she still there?
I am.
Oh, hi.
Okay.
Oh, we had like a weird blip.
Yes.
On our side, so apologize for that.
Oh, it's like
someone's
it's like caller
call
ID.
waiting.
Call waiting. Yeah, might be our other guest.
It is.
Anyway, so Marie,
Yes.
you've been also very vocal with taking your healthcare into your own hands, where you are changing things up, working with this holistic doctor. You were on steroids for a long, long time. And now you've, and they've actually had a huge effect. You've recently come off them. They've had a huge effect on your memory and your quality of life, I've seen. And so tell us a little bit about, what was going on with some of your treatments and why and how you were able to adjust them, even though it's not necessarily what the doctors were saying, right?
Right. So, well, let's put it this way. Sometimes, it's a cookie cutter thing right now that they have. It's the typical chemotherapy, mastectomy, and radiation. And doctors really are trained. They're not educated, right? They don't want to step outside the box anymore.
Okay.
And I learned that quite a bit. And the reason I learned that is because now I'm steroid-free. Now, not everybody gets steroids, but someone like me does because I have an aggressive cancer, and they don't know, when they put the toxicity in your body, they don't know how you will be, meaning it's for resistance.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, I've been on weekly chemo every Friday for over a year and 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and so being steroid-free, and you got the fear of cancer, so if I don't answer your question, it's coming. That's how my memory works now. But being steroid-free, you can logically now ask questions to your doctor, like I have. And I basically told her, listen, if you're not part of my team to save my life and give me advice, step outside that box, then I don't want to talk to you anymore. Because she basically told me I couldn't go off steroids. And my nurse told me the same thing. And then I asked her again another time after I started getting depressed, and after someone called Child Protective Services on me and all kinds of other stuff, because I started losing my memory, right? My mind.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, oh, God. CPS, Adult Protective Services, the police, everybody's come.
Oh, my gosh.
And these are my friends. And so I'm very open about this, okay?
So they were calling because you weren't able to remember, like your daily life was affected by this?
Those weren't the people. These were the people on Facebook that called, pretty much. The people that see something on Facebook, and they only see me at bits and pieces.
Right.
Oh, I know. Yeah, okay.
People don't pick up the phone anymore, right, to say, hey, how are you doing?
Do you need help? Do you need support?
Right. And Jackie, you see my wall. Part of it in getting my memory back is I have to basically type as fast as I can as I used to type because I'm in IT, and it helps my memory. And so images help. It's like the memory game we teach our kids, right?
Right.
I do crossword puzzles again. It's because I'm training my memory. Well, people that don't watch my wall, that see something in the news feed, don't get the pieces, they immediately think I've gone crazy because they only see one spot.
Right.
And it's kind of,
and then they pass judgment.
But what kind of thing are they seeing that they're actually not only judging but calling, authorities?
Oh, like I did Where's Waldo stuff, and I would say, hey, I'm playing this game. My psychologist said this is good. It's like going back to Scooby Doo. These things help me. I'm not trying, and I put in there. I'd say I'm playing this game. My psychologist is here. I have to be in the game in order to get my memory back. And
but it's at some point, Marie, do you think that it's I mean, we've talked about this a lot with our guests that have a public image, and at what sacrifice to you are you willing to continue to go to put your life out there and then have these people that don't know you and pass judgment? And really, being that I work in that field, I know how disruptive it is to have Child Protective Services and Adult Protective Services come into your life. At what point do you just say, it's not necessary for me to put everything on the internet because now I'm being subjected to this harassment?
Right.
Well, I put this out there a long time ago. My digital footprint is strong. My message is always about hope. I don't post negative stuff.
Right.
Very rarely would I post something negative, and usually I'm just positive. I mean, how do I put it? I am who I am, and I've never changed. I mean, I've grown, obviously, through cancer, but I've never been a bad person. If you look at everything, it's always positive.
Right.
So I don't have anything to hide.
Right. And I think the work that you're doing and opening people up to conversation and to also understanding you a little bit is outweighs, the few people who think they know you based on a few posts.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
so, I mean, we all have struggles that people have no idea about. And sometimes, we just put the funny and the rosy out there.
Right.
And so to be able to, even though the medium is electronic and not face to face, and I think that we definitely struggle with not connecting with each other in person enough.
Right, exactly.
But you also are opening up, like you have no idea your reach. Sure, it's this many people and this many likes or whatever, but all the people who are reading who aren't necessarily contributing or liking, or, you could be changing somebody's life that you have no idea.
Right. And to answer Kim directly, you said about Facebook, here's where I'm at. Do you think I'm ever going to post something about CPS coming to my house and all that stuff? No. I want people to listen to your show. I want people to get the message. I'm not about trashing anybody. So this is something that I want them to hear from me versus see it on Facebook.
Right. So Marie, we only have a minute left. So tell us, how does one become their own advocate? I mean, did you go into this being your own? What would be your tips, your number one tip?
Attitude is key to fighting cancer. Remember, cancer is a science, and I would recommend going holistic, mix of that plus chemo, because I was told I would never be off chemo for the rest of my life. And I would Google cottage cheese, flaxseed oil, and cancer, and Bill Henderson cancer. He has really opened my eyes up to what's going on with cancer. And also, you can Google Joanna Budwick with the Budwick diet. That's BUDWIG, diet, DIET. And that's what's working for me.
And thank you, Marie, for sharing that. In closing, because we are going to go to break, I watched the video that you posted with Stephen Dimmick, right?
Yes.
And I have to tell you, it's on your page. I think you post on the Broadscast page, so listeners should go check that out. It was really beautiful and empowering to watch you take ownership of the day that you decided to shave your head. And I just have to tell you, I sat in my kitchen and I cried, and my son was asking me why was I crying, because I'm always weeping about something. But it was really beautiful, and I really I can't imagine what that must have been like for you. But I love that you were able to let us in and show the vulnerable side, and that was just a beautiful moment. And so thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was. You got to take things by the horns, really. I mean, and I was in a tailspin for a bit, I think because of steroids, and the chemo and all the kind of emotional upheaval you go through. But I feel well,
right.
And I say this: the only person that can save yourself from any illness or ailment or drug addiction, what have you, is yourself. So unless you step outside that box, no one can help you. Your brother, your sister, no one.
Well, you are helping so many people, and we really appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, and anytime you want me to come on, I'm always there.
Absolutely. Great. Have a great day, Marie.
You too.
Thanks. And we'll be right back with Shelley Ross. Welcome back to Broadscast.
I never know when to come in on the.
Right?
I never know where we are.
Right after Andrew says, "Sweet little Jackie," that's when you come in.
Well, that's another show for itself.
So we're talking advocacy and. The healthcare field, because I think people are so overwhelmed when they're either diagnosed with a disease or even just staying well.
Yeah.
So I love that we talk to broads who've really kind of grabbed the bull by the horns, and
I'm learning something too. I don't take very good care of myself, and I'm learning to be a better advocate for myself.
That's awesome.
So it is helpful. So today we've got a friend of mine, Shelley Ross, is joining us. I don't know if Shelley will remember this, but my very first moment of meeting her was in 1994 when my brother was killed, and we did our very first television interview with Barbara Walters, and Shelley was the producer at the time. And I remember we met at the Peninsula Hotel, and Shelley walked out with Barbara, who was so regal, and not that Shelley wasn't, but I just remember a beautiful friendship was born that day. So I'm thrilled that all these years later, Shelley is able to join us today and share her story. So welcome, Shelley Ross from Denver, Colorado.
Thank you.
Hi, Shelley.
Thank you.
Hi,
I remember the day I met you too.
Yeah.
it changed both of our lives.
Yeah.
Did you run toward each other in slow motion?
No, that happened later, I think, when we bumped into each other at jury duty. Do you remember that?
That was crazy.
Yeah, that's funny times.
I was covering the Menendez trial and got called for jury duty.
Yeah, nuts.
Wow.
So we'll back up a little bit. So Shelley, as I mentioned, used to work with Barbara Walters way back in the day, but Shelley, you're a former executive producer, Emmy award-winning producer, I think.
Yeah,
I should
Good Morning
mention.
America.
Yeah, Good Morning America, and I think it was 2020 at the time, or prime time. I think you were all over ABC.
Both primetime and primetime live,
Right.
and CBS
Early show.
The Early Show.
Right.
Wow.
Can't forget that.
My goodness.
So
And lots of things.
And so I remember a couple years back, you posted a beautiful Facebook post about you undergoing a double mastectomy. And I remember I was in my bed and I was reading it and I was moved to tears. I had no idea that you were in such a personal struggle. And so without bearing the lead any more than I probably already did, will you tell us a little bit about your personal experience with cancer?
Well, the personal experience was interesting in context of advocacy, because I had a lot of cancer in my family. And talking about taking good care, I made a personal choice just to check and, keep on top of things and have annual mammograms. And I did everything by the book. And 3 years ago, this month, I felt a lump. And I went and I checked it out. And I got high fives from all my doctors for finding such a tiny lump. It was such early detection.
Wow.
But never find a lump or get sick in August, because all the doctors that you want to meet with are going to be out of town on vacation.
Oh my gosh.
Including my family doctor, who happens to have a degree in oncology.
Oh.
He was away. But I decided, I had a couple friends that I had gone through breast cancer process with in a supportive role. And these two close friends happened to have gone to the same surgeon, who was also out of town.
Right.
I made an appointment and I thought, before I go get my first opinion, I'm going to go at least research and get my second, third, and fourth opinions.
Huh. So Shelley, at that point,
yeah.
they weren't like, hey, you have this cancer in your family, we should test you for the BRCA gene.
Oh, well, that's the key. I asked every doctor I went to, the first thing they do is you have to fill out your family history. Mm-hmm. And they told me I didn't. I said, I really should be tested. They said, you don't fit the profile. A mother who died of lung cancer, a grandmother who had throat cancer and lymphoma 16 years later. My mother died at age 46. Her younger sister had breast cancer at age 40 and died at age 45.
How does that not qualify for a family history that would show? I mean, just so you're aware, I'm a BRCA1 sister. I also have the gene, the genetic mutation. So, and my mother died of breast cancer at 39, and it was a no-brainer. But there are some doctors that you really have to say, you have to educate them. I mean, Marie was just saying this. They're trained but not educated.
Why didn't you fit the profile, though?
Because...
But you're also Ashkenazi Jewish, aren't you?
Yes.
And 1 in 40.
But I fit the profile today. Mm-hmm. 3 years ago, I did not fit the profile. I even had a distant male relative. My mother's first cousin had breast cancer.
Which is very rare.
And now, if you have one male relative, you are a candidate for a BRCA test. Mm-hmm. And at the time, they wouldn't recommend the test, because it's a $4,000 test. It was. The price hopefully has come down because the Supreme Court said that there was a monopoly on the test.
Right. Myriad was the only one who could do it. Mm-hmm.
And so insurance wouldn't pay for it, but in this 2-week process, every time I got to my mother's sister's what would have been her first grandchild had leukemia at age 5, they would say, "You're so far off the tree. You're so far off the tree." And I did not have a first-degree relative with breast cancer. Now that profile has changed.
Right.
But by the time my family doctor got back from vacation, where a dozen doctors waved me off the BRCA test, we sat down and we spoke for over an hour, and he said, "I'm going to take a BRCA test because I suspect that your mother died of lung cancer before she got breast cancer.
Right.
Had she lived longer, I suspect, and I'm going to tell the insurance company, I suspect she would have gotten breast cancer."
Right.
So,
And lo and behold, I tested BRCA positive.
wow.
Right.
Well, Shelley, we're going to go to break, but stick around, and we will be back with you in just a minute.
Okay.
Thank you much.